Hey guys, this is Shane and welcome to my Curator of the Lost channel. Today, let's talk about what happens when you have an undeliverable package, an undeliverable shipment that you've sent out via media mail. You may not know what happens with this. It's kind of something, a little tidbit that you need to know. And then along with that, I want to talk about if you're new to selling online, especially on eBay, what you can do to make sure and protect yourself when you're shipping, and if you happen to get one of those bad buyer experiences. So before we jump into it, I want to say thank you so much. It's May 2022 and we're about to hit 2,000 subscribers. It's really just so much appreciate the support, the channel support, the subscribers, new and old. Thank you for hitting the likes and the comments and just all that support. So with that, let's jump in. So I just had this happen like last week. I sold this book. It was on Artesia. It was a book about New Mexico, and I sent it. It's like $100 book. And I sent it, and like 2 weeks later, it comes back. And it's in the box. It was fine. But the thing that I was really not aware of, and this goes in with media mail. There's some really good things with media mail, and there's some other things with the media mail that cannot be so good. What came back was a postage due, okay? And that's really the first tidbit that I want to make sure that you come away with on media mail shipping. Now, I'm not talking about if you ship something and the buyer decides that, oh, they don't want it, and they send it back to you, and if you decide to reimburse them for that postage. That's not what I'm talking about. This package was undeliverable. It was written on there, no place to leave package, and in communication with the buyer later, they said, well, oh, didn't know you were shipping it by USPS, not Postal Service. We thought it was coming UPS, and the post office can't leave packages here, but somehow UPS can. And they had a post office box for their postal service shipments. So it was a package that was undeliverable. They did not physically take receipt of it. The post office said, return to sender, no place to leave it. And the thing with media mail is that return postage is not guaranteed. The post office can bill you for that. And so there was $5.08 due. Now, I talked to where I mail, my postal guy, and the silver lining in this is he said, well, it just depends on the postal worker at the time. He said, if you get your item, in this case the book, back, and if the package says postage due, but you've got the book and they haven't collected, you're free and clear. They're not going to come back and ask for it. But he said, even when things come into the postal storefront, the real regular post office, he said, sometimes, it's just too busy, too hard to collect. It's just not worth the hassle. So it's kind of to the discretion of the postal worker. But the key point is that media mail return shipping from an undelivered package is not guaranteed, like priority or first class, which they'll send back to return to sender at no cost. Now, again, this is totally different if like the buyer doesn't want it and sends it back, and you guys work out something on return postage, or you cover return postage. This is totally separate. So it's just one of those little nuances with media mail, which is still a great value. The pros of media mail for booksellers are that it's a flat rate based to the United States anyway, based on weight. So some of these heavy books we sell, can you imagine if we were having to put them in priority mailboxes and the postage was, $8, $10, $15, $16, depending on what kind of box you used and how much the weight is. It could be quite expensive because like priority is zone pricing, right? So if you lived on East Coast and you're going all the way to West Coast, you're going through multiple zones and the price will be more than it is if you send it just to like the town next door. Media mail is a flat rate based on weight. My experience is every once in a while you can get into the media mail is super slow, but most of the time I find, at least from where I mail my post office, media mail is quite fast. It's maybe a day, 2 days slower than like regular first class mail. It's frustrating when you get, you sell 100 books and 100 of them are that way, but you get that one that gets lost in the system and takes 3 weeks to show up. And that's where buyers get frustrated. But I always put a disclaimer in my listing on Media Mail that it generally is pretty quick, but it could be up to 14 days. The other thing is Media Mail can be inspected, okay, if you're not familiar with it. And the reason is because people cheat. Media Mail is only supposed to be for media, books, DVDs, CDs, library material like that. But that doesn't include magazines or any kind of printed material with advertisements, okay? So, it does say it can be subject to inspection. Honestly, don't know that I've ever had one inspected, and again, talking to my post office, the guys at my post office, which are awesome, Lynn and Jeff, they're just amazing. They said they can kind of tell if somebody's gaming the system, right? They'll get some box and they're like, is this books or media? And they're like, oh, yes, it is. And they said sometimes they let it slide because they don't want to have a confrontation. But they said sometimes people, they clearly are cheating and they'll open it up. And at that point, it would be postage due on the receiving side, right? If somebody tried to misrepresent Media Mail. But in general, it's a great value, but that is a little nuance. Now, a segue into this is just for new sellers, if you hadn't been into this eBay selling and shipping game for long, some other tidbits to make sure that you protect yourself as a seller. Because let's face it, eBay, Amazon, whatever your selling platform, buyers have a lot more rights than sellers. It's just the fact. If the buyer gets something that can be perfect and they don't want it, and they just want to return it to you or say something's wrong with it, the platforms are almost always going to side with the buyer. But in the case of a bad buyer or somebody trying to, get one over on you or cheat the system, there are a few things that you need to make sure you do. First off is you only have communication within the platform, within like eBay's message system. Do not take conversations outside or things outside, because then you don't have a record and you're clearly not protected. Number two, always ship to the address that is in the eBay system. If they say, hey, can you ship to another address? Don't do it. Or if you do, know that if something goes sideways, you're not going to be covered, okay? You have to ship to that address, and they need to add another address to their profile. If that means cancel and redo it, then whatever. But if you ship to that non-validated address in the eBay system, if they say they don't get it, you're going to be the one that has to make it right, okay? Which leads to the final thing is always, always, always make sure your tracking information is in uploaded when you ship. Now, if you buy postage through the eBay system, it's automatic. It's automatically going to populate it. If you're not doing that, you should just get into it. You get, eBay gives shipping discounts. You get the labels. It's so much easier than buying it at the post office. So, get your little label maker or a label maker, or just get labels and print them out, on your printer. Stick them on there. It's so much faster and easier. But that protects you, okay? Shipping to that address and uploading the tracking information. I've had things where people said, I had a buyer a couple of months ago and I could tell something was off with this buyer. The questions they ask, it just seemed like something was off with them. And after you sell for a while, you get kind of an antenna for this sort of thing, right? A buyer that is like over the top on something, on packaging or shipping or questions, and it's like, this could be a problem. But I had that kind of experience, but they paid, I shipped. About a week, 2 weeks later, they're like, where's my book? I want a refund. So I just went on the system and the system said that it was shipped and it's closed. I sent them the shipping information, said eBay system says it's shipped. The buyer went away. I think that they were trying to get one over on me. It's just what it felt like, the whole situation. But having that tracking information, if it gets stolen off their porch or out of their mailbox, you can, as a seller, decide if there's anything you want to do. But at that point that it says that it is delivered, you have fulfilled your commitment, and the eBay system will support you on that because it says delivered, and you're out of it at that point. So anyway, that's the tips. Just remember that on Media Mail. I could tell you, I've only had that happen over all these years. I think this is like the second time I've had that happen. Another one, somebody denied it. They said that this actually happened just like 6 months ago. Someone's had bought the book, it all went good, and then I'd already shipped quick, and then they messaged through the system and said, "Oh, I was getting that book for my dad. I found out they already have the book. Can you cancel it?" I'm like, "Too late, it's already gone." So they said, "Well, we're just going to refuse shipment." So they just refused shipment, and it came back, and it was the same thing. And that one, they didn't charge me anything, or they just got the book. So anyway, it's funny that it hadn't happened in forever, and in the last 6 months, I've had 2 media mail shipments that come back. So if it is undeliverable, you could be facing the return postage. This is, again, different from if somebody just says, "I don't want it." So anyway, that's it, the tidbit plus some tips. Hopefully they help. And you guys remember, see cool, buy cool. Hit the like, subscribe, and let's just keep doing it. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.